The passing of a guard on duty disturbs my silence as the weak glow of their torches bounce around the corners of my cell for a brief moment. The light provides me just enough time to look upon my cellmate and ensure he is still amongst the living. Although his body is weak and ravaged by hunger, his chest shakily rises and falls. The boy, not yet of age, fights on but quickly deteriorates. Loose rags cling to his sharp bones, and his sunken facial features are a far cry from a youthful face. His complexion is bright white and skin almost transparent. A young man who should be full of life, yet his body has been reduced to that of a frail old man. At first, we would speak for hours to pass time, but recently, he hasn't been able to utter a word. His days are confined to sleeping peacefully, saving his strength, and longing for the end. His silence leaves me alone, separated and isolated, no soul remaining to hear my justification. The people of this town will never understand my actions and are unwilling to accept the truth. The sacrifice I made to save them will be forever in vain, and no real justice will be served. In my solitude, I ask myself, would they have had the strength to do as I did? I doubt their resistance and know they lack the will to protect those who would otherwise become victims. Yet, if faced with the same choice, I would not waver. I would drive my dagger straight through the demon's heart in every possible reality. Those with clouded minds knew him as the beloved prophet, but I saw through the veil and witnessed the wicked man beneath the cloth. Once a dedicated follower, I would have done anything to gain his admiration, but as I got closer, the more he pushed. With every unspeakable duty he assigned, the more my moral compass began to crack. Pushing me harder each time, the day came when he asked too much, and the weight of guilt came crashing down on my soul. I would no longer be a pawn in his atrocities, and no longer his enabler of evil. If only they had seen the piles of bodies lined within his temple walls, the skulls of his victims buried in the crypts, and experienced the cries of mercy. If the people had even tasted a sip of his evil, they would have come to the same conclusion. I wish they could have stumbled upon his library as I had, rows upon rows of demonic books speaking of portals to other worlds and the destruction of humanity, a direct link to the devil himself, and the terrifying measures one must take to achieve his favor. If they knew his goal, his ultimate plan for us all, the path he was leading us down, I would certainly not be here. Alas, they only see what their brainwashed minds allow. A follower turned traitor, an apostle turned apostate, and a wild man driven by jealousy. Bound to the facts they are fed, held back from the truth, and shielded from the dagger laced with the blood of their beloved. From hero to villain, from savior to enemy, I am now just another degenerate where he belongs. With the internal battle raging on, my silence is suddenly broken by the sound of 2 Imperial guards approaching. As they draw close, they lower their voices to a nervous whisper before coming to a halt directly outside the bars of my cell. In complete silence, the taller of the 2 fumbles with his keys and shakily slots one into the lock. Twisting and turning, the lock springs open and he pushes against the bars. As they swing open, the guards take a protective step backwards and share an unnerving look. Willing each other to take the lead, the shorter of the 2 finally steps forwards and blurts out a command. To my surprise, he stutters as he lets out the words, "Step forward and take it easy." Weakened and tired, I use the walls to push myself up and onto my feet, pain coursing throughout my body. I muster the courage to stand tall and drag my wailing body towards the exit. With each step I take, my rusted chains squeal along the stone, and the 2 guards twitch nervously, watching intently. Reaching the opening, I raise my arms slowly and present my shackles to indicate I mean them no harm. My actions fail to ease the tension, and both continue to glare. Before I have a chance to address them, the guard speaks again. "Prisoner, the council requests your attendance. Judgment is upon you." Although I have longed for this moment, the words hit me with force, and the realization stabs at my soul. I know no justice awaits, and only death now remains. Lowering my head, I take a moment to breathe, a minute to savor life, and a final second to come to terms with my destiny before responding. I understand I now go to my death, and this is to be my end. My fate is sealed, and society calls for blood. I will go without trouble. I will obey, and will bring you no harm. I give you my word. In return for my obedience, I ask that you care for the boy in my cell until his time to be judged comes forth. He is young, innocent, and deserves a chance to share his justification. Finishing my final request, I am met with a deathly silence, the guards' faces filling with unexpected confusion and shock. They share a quick look of panic, and in unison, both slowly reach for the pommel of their swords. Confused at their reaction to a simple request, I attempt to speak, but the guard speaks first. Tremors run throughout his voice, and he blurts out, "There is no boy in your cell."